In today's video, I'm really excited because I'm going to talk about the exact same creative and CRO strategies, conversion rate optimization strategies that pretty much make up 8-figure businesses, okay? And for your own context, if you are a new viewer, my name is Brando. I've been able and fortunate enough to work with over 100 plus e-commerce brands. Actively, we work with 8 and 7-figure brands, just like this one. This is just one of our own clients. Let me just refresh so you know this is real. And I'm just showing you this just so you have an understanding of the type of caliber of clients that we're typically used to working with. Now that we got the proof out of the way, let's get right into the actual video. Great, so let's get right into it. In today's video, I'm going to discuss several things. These are just some of the touch points, or sorry, the points that I'm going to touch base on. Number one, the step-by-step process of how we actually reproduce winning ads at scale. There's a whole process that we use that is really, really helpful, at least for us, and I'm just going to share that with you, okay? And number two, the key CRO checklist that is guaranteed, and I can promise you, I'm not exaggerating, to increase revenue per visitor. We can do all of the winning ads or create the best winning ads in the world, but if we don't have a very systematized process of increasing the revenue per visitor, then it's pretty much we're not taking advantage of all the money that we put into our ads, right? So we're gonna go over these two things, creatives and CRO. As a bonus, because everybody, as I say here, everybody's requesting an ad account structure. So I'll just show you inside of one of our own just random 7 or 8-figure client. So you see the structure that we're using that is working well for us. And then I'm going to explain the motivating factors behind it. So let's start with number one. Just talk about creatives first, okay? Now, we need to understand that the leverage, I believe, the main leverage that you have in today's world with AI tools and basically any other tool is that you get access to the direct ads that are working well for your best direct competitors. So if I'm selling soap, I want to funnel hack Dr. Squatch, which is a very successful e-commerce brand. I can go into tools like Atria, for example, just like this tool over here called Atria. Go over here and basically funnel hack them and say Dr. Squatch. You've probably seen this in my other videos. How do you spell it? Squatch. And you can just see their ads, as you can see over here. Boom, Dr. Squatch, and you can take a look at everything that they're doing, filter by status, active ads, inactive ads, USPs, ad angles, landing pages. You can see everything. So we use tools like this because this is such an important process to make sure that you understand why ads are working. So what we do is that we filter by longest running ads. So we understand what ads are the ones that have been running for the longest amount of time. As you can see here, 2024, September. This means that these ads are running quite well. If you cannot see longest running ads, maybe it's an industry where the burn rate of the ads is very fast, then take a look at traits, overall traits. If you notice that 80% of the ads that your best direct competitor is using are with this framework and for this persona, it's probably because it's working for them, or else they wouldn't be spending 80% of their time. Anyways, what we do is that we do this. If there's one other thing that we do is that we actually go in our own ad accounts and see the ads that have been working well for us, right? Maybe they're not as successful as Dr. Squatch's ads, of course, but we still need to understand. The point here is we want to understand what are the components that make the ad so that we can reproduce it. So these are the components that make it one single ad: the angle, the emotion, the messaging, the creative, what voiceover we use, the ad length, the ad format, the ad copy, many different things. Many people think that it's just ad copy, title, and video. It's not how it works. There's many components. The major components that we analyzed, and let's go over one by one, that are detrimental towards understanding why the ads work and understanding so that you can train the team, your team, on how to reproduce those ads again, are just 4 or 5. Okay, let's go over. Number one, avatar customer. Every single ad that you create should be created with the customer in mind. Just like any offer or angle or desire or pain point that you want to inspire or talk about, I should say, the customer should come always first. If you do ads before understanding your customer, you have no idea what you're doing and you're just kind of shooting your shots, hoping something sticks. So the first thing that we need to understand here, talking about Dr. Squatch, is come up with the avatar. Okay, looking at this ad that's working super well, thousands of comments, thousands of shares, has been active for a very long time. What are the trait? Avatar customer is between 24 and 32. We give it a name. Let's call it William. 24-year-old William, 30-year-old William is a male. What are the motivations and pain points? We need to understand these two things so that we can put these elements in the ad, right? Or else if we don't understand them, we cannot craft a good ad. What are the main motivations? Wants to smell amazing to attract women. Great. Looking for confident boosting, masculine scent. Cares about presentation and to stand out, likes brands with a personality and an edge. The pain points are, feels regular soaps or blend of are forgettable, hates artificial, overly girly scents, and tired of products that just don't help him feel confident to get the girls, right? So this is the William that we're targeting. Next is pain points. What is the main pain point that the ad is actually talking about? So in this case, smells irresistible, get noticed, and be the guy she remembers. So being a memorable guy that just doesn't have a normal scent, but just be the memorable guy that gets girls with a good scent, right? So this is the angle. The storyboard is another important component that is detrimental towards understanding why ads work. Is it the hook and the proof and the solution, or is it the hook, the pain point, intro, ingredients, proof, CTA? That we need to understand the structure of the video so that we can utilize and recognize that pattern and replicate that same structure for our own benefit, right? Then the main pain points, in this case, you're using soap made of for women, right? Your soap is full of harsh chemicals. What are the pain points that the winning ad, one of these three winning ads, is actually talking about? And then last but not least, the required B-roll. What is the required content in B-roll that the ad has so that I can tell my team and then they can easily reproduce the exact same ad structure or style? So these are the main components that you need. Of course, an ad is made of many things, but these are the main ones. Now, let's talk about something that is such a critical thing and aspect, in my opinion, and it's the importance of crafting relatable ads with intent to one main avatar customer. I see many people that, their ad is all over the place. They're targeting, they're trying to resonate with 3 or 4 avatar customers that are completely different in ages. Perfect example is like a skincare product that solves hydration, right? Or fine lines, or a turkey neck, or a stretched jawline, whatever you want, a jacked jawline. They're all different pain points. So it doesn't make sense to touch base on all of them into one video, because all of those people are different avatar customers. Meaning that somebody that is just looking for hydration is not necessarily looking to reduce their belly fat or reduce their chin fat or something like that. Completely different personas, right? So we have to make sure that it's super congruent. If the avatar customer is 35-year-old male, single, ready to mingle, skeptical type, is looking for a girlfriend, likes to dress nice and smell great, loves to receive compliments, then we understand all of these traits of this person and we put them all over the ad, and it's a congruent ad about that specific persona. And then you might be saying, hey, but I'm limiting myself if I just do it with one avatar. First of all, you can do this process with also avatar 2, avatar 3, so you're not limiting yourself. And second of all, there's so many people just like this person, millions and millions, that could be your customer. So an example is in the hook, girl smelling at boyfriend armpit with a smile, or, seeing that she enjoys it. This is a great hook because this guy is ready to mingle and he wants something like that. He wants to see a girl just go crazy over his smell, for example, or scent. Then body stressing pain point about being single. This could be a body. Body is like ingredient validation to increase, his skepticism, right? Touch on skepticism again by showing a girl all over the boy again, whatever, and then call to action. This is just a random example, but this is just for you to understand how the ad process works and at least how we do it. Every ad as an avatar customer, not just 1,000 avatar customers, right? One way that we really do it, and I've spoken about this many times in my other videos, so maybe I'm not going to go as in depth, but we like to break things down, the entire ad, the entire sequence, so that my team can visually see with a diagram that looks exactly like this one. What is the ad segment? What are the frames by the second, or the seconds by the frames? What is the required B-roll explanation, and then the ad segment explanation? So basically, we break down the ad by every 3 to 4 seconds. So what happens in second 3 to 5 is different from what happens from 5 to 7. So we break it down, and we try to understand, okay, in this segment, this is where the Dr. Squatch, the brand, wants to really relate with pain points. And so from second 3 to 11, we have to focus, and we would do the same thing. We focus on doing this, this, and that. And so once again, this is also a great way by putting B-rolls to a specific frame of seconds so that we understand, how long is that B-roll, what is that B-roll, and what is the script behind the B-roll, what is the ad segment within that B-roll. We understand everything about the ad. This is such an important aspect, and it is very scientific, but we want to be very scientific here because these ads are working in the first place because they're spot on. Every second counts, right? So we want to do that. We actually have a document called scientific breakdown document, and we do this exact same process. We basically find winning ads. For example, a winning ad was a podcast style for this client, and we break down the ad by the framework, by the triggers, buying triggers, analyzing buying triggers and desires, and then scene by scene breakdown, which is what I just showed you. I've gone through this document many times also in my other videos, so I'm not going to touch too much base on it right now, but everything is structured. It's like a 40-page document for one client, and so we go really, really in depth. Now, let's go back to the diagram over here. Once we have this, now this is just a concept. I know I've seen my YouTube video analytics, and every single time that I speak about this concept, I see the audience just drop and leave. And I understand it's boring, perhaps a bit boring, but trust me, if you stick with me, I can guarantee you that you're gonna make better ads. So even if it's just 2 minutes that it's boring, just please get into it and stick with me. So what most people, how they actually think about products and offers and launching ads is that they start with the product, then they try to craft an offer, and then they try to craft an angle, then they want to craft a desire or a pain point, and then they randomly come across a customer. The customer, in my opinion, you should build marketing angles, offers by starting with the customer. The customer should be your main priority. If you understand how they think, what they think, who they want to be, what is their aspiration, how do they speak, what do they think in their mind, what do they say to themselves, right? All of these things are so important, which help you reverse engineer what pain points you should go after, what angles, what offers, and lastly, what product you can offer to the marketplace, right? This is what it should look like. So before starting a brand or before launching a new product, before launching a new ad, you should always ask yourself, the top priority is, what is my avatar customer that I want to address in this segment or in this ad? We need to understand the following things, which are detrimental towards helping this entire process make work. The language of discovery. How does your ideal avatar customer talk, right? What is happening in their life, right now? Is because they are bad, they smell bad, they're not getting girls, for example. Situational context, identity, aspiration. Who do they want to become, right? Who do they want to aspire? That's why like Dr. Squatch has like, for example, Mike Tyson or celebrities, they're attaching an identity to a brand because this is an identity aspiration move, right? So who do they want to become? Emotional motivation. How do they want to feel? Once they have the perfume, the scent, how do they want to feel? They want to feel confident, cocky, whatever. They want to get girls. Surface needs. What do they say to themselves that they want? And this is important for copywriting. So how do we get all these things? We do deep customer research. We do TikTok mining, Amazon mining, Reddit mining. We read all the reviews. We put all the reviews into like ChatGPT, and then it can give us reports where we can go back and say, hey, we can answer all these questions. Imagine crafting ads by knowing everything about your ideal customer to the point where there's such a deep level of resonation, kind of like in this example, where they just click and they buy. This is how it works. And ideally, you don't only have this on the ad process, but you also have this on the landing page, on the listicle, on the advertorial, on the offer, right? You word it and use mechanisms to trigger buying, to motivate the buyer or the customer to buy, like a buying motivator, right? And then once we do the deep research, then we can touch base back into the pain points, the angles, the offers, and the products that we can offer to the marketplace. I went down into products. Maybe you already have your product figured out, so disregard product, but it's just part of the sequence, which is why I have it over here. Now, let's go over some examples on CRO. Hopefully you got the point over here. Actually, before we do, let's go over the scalable winning ad frameworks, and then we can go over some CRO examples. I'm going to quickly talk about the ad account structure, but it's something that is very requested. I speak a lot about ad breakdowns, but I never speak about how we put it into the ad account. Great, so let's get right into it and let's talk about a couple things here. Before I get into that, I also want to show you some CRO things later, so stick until the end because I have a lot of CRO components that you need to utilize to really increase your conversion rate, your revenue per visitor, your average order value, everything, right? And then I also have another page, a killer page to present so you can have a good example. Great, so this is just one of our own clients, just a random client. I think they're spending around $80,000. Not too much, nothing crazy, but they're spending $80,000 in the last 30 days, as you can see on the top right. And so this is not like an in-depth case study on this ad account. This is generally how we like to structure ads in 2025, and I'll explain briefly how we do it. So we have two types of campaigns that we normally use. I do have to say one thing before I move forward, that in most cases, we try to also adapt to ad accounts, meaning if the ACS is crushing it for this ad account, we're just probably going to continue scaling that. And if we need to change the structure, we do it very gradually. So let's talk about the structure here. We like to use two main campaigns, ABOs and CBOs, as you can see. If we launch a new product, there needs to be a new dedicated creative testing campaign for that for that product. Same with the CBO, which we use for scaling. So before I get into it deeper, we like to use ABO for creative testing and CBO for creative testing validation, meaning we want to make it work and compete against the best winning ads, and for scaling for the most part. And CBO is vertical scaling because we want to increase budgets, and ABO is a lot more horizontal scaling. Why do we still have CBOs in 2025? And I'll explain why. So the way that we structure the ad accounts, we use the 2025 approach. We use CBOs, 3-2-2 strategy, right? We have ad sets. Each ad set is basically a creative concept or a specific ad angle, and then we want to make sure that they compete against each other. Just observation, this approach is what we use. We love to work it, but we also added an ABO because whenever we want to launch tests, we want to also allow them an opportunity to spend regardless of others, right? What happens into a CBO, not to get too much on a tangent, is that some ad sets are just going to spend zero, and I know that people are going to say, hey, if it spends zero, it means that it's not scalable or it's not as good as the main ad. I agree with that. But what if instead of always hitting and finding and going after the ad that spends $10 $10,000 a day, which by the way, we're still doing with the CBO strategy, because that is the main component and strategy for the CBO. Find winners that can scale. This is for scaling. But what if we added ABO component to it, where we also test it into an ABO, right? If it doesn't, we test it into the ABO. If it works in the ABO, we put it into the CBO. If it works into the CBO, we take it off from the ABO, because then we would be competing against each other. That is basically the theory. Why do we have it in the ABO as well? Because if it doesn't work in the CBO, guess what? It can work in the ABO. If it doesn't work in the CBO, and I know that I'm talking about ABOs and CBOs, maybe you're a bit confused, but if it doesn't work in the CBO, it doesn't mean that it's just not going to work overall. It just means that it's not as scalable as your best winner into the CBO campaign. So what if we can put it into the ABO, leave it, and have it run for $200 a day in budget? Maybe that ad, and I have a diagram over here as well, maybe that ad cannot scale to, $300,000 in budget because it's not scalable. But what if it can scale to $300, right? What if we can have 20, 30 ad sets that can scale to like $100, $200, $300? They definitely stack up. So we use the ABO for horizontal scaling if the concepts just do not work on a CBO, so that we can scale, right? And then we basically have a CBO for just creative scaling, not horizontally but vertically. Okay, we try to scale as much vertically as possible. This is the structure that we use. Once again, we still use the 3-2 method, which is basically just scaling with CBOs, but we also have an extra lever to pull with ABO just in case it just doesn't spend into the CBO, because it doesn't spend, and then we give it another shot into the ABO. That's the only reason that we do it. We still use the CBO. I think CBO is great for scaling. It's absolutely easy to manage, and it should be the go-to of most companies. But once again, we add an ABO component to the equation, which doesn't hurt the ad account. Okay, that is the structure that we use. Now that we got that out of the way, let's get into talking about different diagrams about CRO. Because once again, you can talk about winning ads and ad accounts all you want, but if you don't have an optimized page, you pretty much you shouldn't even run ads. So what you're seeing over here is just a big kind of like audit that we do for some companies. These are just some demo CRO changes that we've made for like some demo companies. And so let's just go over some good practices and bad practices, and let's start with the before, and then I'll show you the after. Okay, this is the before. So this is just the page, and maybe your page looks a bit better, but maybe it doesn't look as much better. So keep in mind, these are just some observations that we made internally. So first of all, this page, they're selling coffee, I believe. It's a bad page. It's not optimized, and these are the reasons why. First of all, there's a search that could be expandable from the navigation bar. So if you have elements on the top of the page that are just not needed, like for example, these two elements, this is not needed. It has no added value to the customer. They don't care. And this is also not needed, especially if it takes like big chunk on the top. Okay, and so it's basically another bar. We don't want too much of that. So we can put maybe this, I would probably put it over here so that they can see it. And if they're interested, they can click on it. We basically saved already like 1 inch or 2 inches on the screen. Okay. Next thing, high value image. This is actually a decent indicator. It's a good image. There's also a UX indicator where they can tap to view more. So this is the only thing that I like about this page. The other thing that I would add is actually features, benefits, us versus them, diagrams, graphical representations that talk about the ingredients, the added benefits, the USPs, so that people can scroll through this page just horizontally with the product images without having to scroll through the entire page, because most people don't. One thing I don't like is long name that just doesn't add value. Once again, stick with me. Maybe these are not things that are related to you, but they're things that can help you think. And I'm also gonna go over another brand because I have two to show you. But this is just one thing. Try to keep your name of the brand, of the title of the product as short as possible so that it's also memorable, right? And I'm gonna show you the way that we did for this demo brand. Then low value section over here. This is no value, like sharing, whatever. Has no value. Another big problem here is a big chunk of text. We don't want to have such a big chunk of text. I would probably say more than 3 lines is not necessary, because then people, they like to consume graphical representations more than text. And if you give them a big chunk, it doesn't work. And then no CTA above the fold. This is a big deal. Above the fold is basically the first 1 to 2 scrolls. If within 1 to 2 scrolls, you don't see an add to cart button or a checkout button, you're probably losing conversions because people need to find it, right? It has to be right there. So these are just some indications. So let's talk about kind of the after section that we developed here on Figma, right? So now that we have the develop section over here, this is just a better section, I think. Better landing page, more transparent, looks better, the colors pop off, and let's go over why. Clear product title. Birdie medium roast. We're not looking at something super long. The Birdie Coffee Co., El Salvador, Colombia, Agua. Like, this makes no sense and it's not memorable. So easy to remember. Social proof on the top. They are not having any type of social proof, what I'm seeing. They have like no social proof actually, which is a big red flag. So we're adding social proof on the top. And then there's a scrollable section. You can't see it here, but you can scroll through different elements of the brand, ingredients, us versus them, features and benefits, etc., etc. We give a short, brief description here. This is a good, no more than 3 lines, I would say. And then if they want to read more, they can click on read more. And then just a quantity suggestion so that we can increase average order value, right? In this scenario, there's no quantity selection. It's just 20 bucks. In this scenario, we do $20 and then we basically buy more and save more. So save 10%, save 21%. And we also give a subscription and save offer. And we also have some clear high value USPs, right? Subscribe and save 30%, low acid beans, free shipping. This is such a good page, simple page. A lot better. It's going to work a lot better than a page like this, okay? Not only because there's like, it doesn't look good, but also because there's just so many elements that are just not conversion optimized, right? So this is one example. Let's go over another example. This is the before section. So wall of text, right? We don't care about these wall of text. We don't like it. They're selling beer in this example, so kind of like a low performance, low conversion page. This is the page that we transformed it to, so a lot better. I'll go through that in just a second. But hard to read price, we don't want a hard to read price. This makes no sense. It has to be very visual. I don't want to go and find the price. It has to pop off. Lack of social proof, no social proof. Low value image, doesn't give me any value. Wall of text, I don't want to see the text, and another wall of text. I don't need to explain why this page sucks. Let's go over to the optimized version so that we can see some conversion mechanisms. Once again, compelling image, high perceived. You can taste it. You can see it and taste it with your eyes, right? So this is such a good element. I like it a lot. Better value proposition, right? So 500 ml, 4.9% alcohol content, and then basically showing the value proposition of what they're getting. Social proof is 100% needed. Quantity suggestion to increase the AOV. So get a loaner, 4-pack, 8-pack, kind of like before. And then also same thing, subscribe and save. If you can have a subscription element, even if like 3%, 5%, 10% of buyers actually get into the subscription, it's still something that is recurring that you can build. That is always something that also when you want to sell the business, it's such a high value thing. And then clear, compelling USPs like before, and then testimonial customers can relate. What other beers appreciate like you think. And then there's like other sections before. But within the top of the fold, without not even scrolling, you basically can easily buy. There's USPs, there's like some elements of the page, and also same thing, you can scroll by and go through examples of us versus them, ingredients and other things. So these are just some examples of like a demo that we've done. Same thing with the cart. We do these things on the cart page too. This is like before cart page, after cart page, adding downsells where people also buy other products, giving like the progress bar. All of these things are conversion mechanisms that you need to implement to really increase the conversion rate. What you're seeing over here is just one of our audits that we do. So actually, if you want us to do an audit, you can book a call. Just make sure that you're doing at least 100K a month, or else don't book, please, because it doesn't make sense for us to get on a call with everyone. There needs to be some sort of qualification. If you're doing 100K a month, we're more than happy to do a CRO audit for you. It'll look something like this. Anyways, I do want to show you one more thing before I end the video, and it's this amazing page that I really, really like. It's called Javi Coffee. They're really good with marketing. And one thing that I really like, other than the elements that I just explained, which are recurring and you can clearly see that this is an amazing landing page, is the offer. If you can present the offer in a very cool way, a nice way. One thing that I see over here that is an added benefit compared to like what my designer did on over here is that they're basically doing a 4, 3, 2, 1 bottle approach, so a quantity approach, but they're adding free gifts. So if I choose one, as you can see, they're getting just one gift. If I choose 2, nothing. Same if I'm getting 3, I'm getting 2 extra gifts, and then if I get 4, I get everything. So you almost feel bad going from 4 to 2 or 4 to 1. And I think it's a good psychological play. What they're doing is selling subscription. They don't have a lot of text. They have a lot more visuals. As you can see, everything is a lot more visually appealing instead of just a block of text. If there's text, it's like very, very minimal. And same thing with the rest of the page. Everything is so like graphically shown. There's GIFs and there's people showing the product, the results, right? Step-by-step process. Everything is very dynamic. If you can have dynamic elements within your page, definitely helps with the retention on the page, view retention on the page. So this is an us versus them. Overall, review, testimonials, written and view and video testimonials. I like how they spaced this and organized this, and then FAQ section. If you want to leverage a page and understand how a page works, This is just one page that you can leverage and copy from, or copy at least the structure. As I said before, if you take a look at their bars over here, this is what they're getting, right? Features and benefits, other features and benefits, the back of the supplement, whatever. And so they're basically showing part of the page and just by scrolling. So they don't have to scroll vertically, they can just scroll over here once they're at the top. Once again, they need to be optimized for mobile, not just desktop. Anyways, this is it for this video. I know that I ranted for a bit. Hopefully you saw some value in this video. Let me know if you did. Also, if you didn't, I appreciate any comment. And that is it for this video. If you own a brand that does over 100K a month, as I said before, click the link below. There's a page to book in a call. You can just have a conversation with one of my team members or myself, and we can just do a general audit. It's not just going to be CRO. It's going to be also about your ads, ad account audit, creative audit, a general audit. Okay, book a call, of course, if you want to explore the opportunity of working with us. And that is it for this video. I hope you enjoy it, and see you in the next one. Bye.